Number one is to receive any apologies for absence or declaration.
I'll send you an email.
Sorry. Hello, Margaret, the meeting start. I just announced the meeting started. Sorry. Right. Number one, to receive any apologies for absence and declarations of interest. We have apologies for absence from Willie, Simon and Andrew. I'm happy with those reasons. It's Easter time, so. And declarations of interest. Declarations of interest.
I have a huge interest in that class.
Very much. Any other declarations? Thank you very much. Right then, at this time I close the Parish Council meeting and open it up to the floor to receive reports from County and District Council as well. Members of the public are reminded that this section lasts 10 minutes and members of the public are only allowed to speak once on itemised business on the agenda for no longer than 3 minutes. Anybody like to say anything? Ken.
Yeah, I'd like to just mention about the request from Bruno Peak with regards to the VE Day celebrations. I'd like to ask the council to allow this to go ahead for several reasons. I know it's an emotive subject. We all know what happened in the past, but the beacon is something that is being used throughout the country, and I think we should give it due consideration as well. And the other thing that I would like to mention is the celebrations for Capability Brown. Now, if we're going to spend money in this council, in this parish for sort of remembering Capability Brown, could we not revisit perhaps doing something for what the beacon was originally designed for, which was for commemorating the Queen's 60th Diamond Jubilee. And as we've done nothing for that, I would be quite happy to carve a plaque or carve something if that's what the village wants. But I really do think that lighting the beacon and using the beacon, because it's, I'm led to believe it's lying in a ditch somewhere and probably rotting away, which would be criminal because it's actually cost each and every one of us good money, and some of us personally donated as well. So, you know, we should perhaps, I should perhaps even ask the council if perhaps they could find out where it is.
I have an idea
and
where
what condition, what condition it's in.
Yeah. I did try to contact the person who I believe has got it, but I didn't get very far. So I can try it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. John.
Continuing on from that, Mr. Chairman, with the understanding that Channel 4 are doing a programme regarding this within the village, in item 3.1, which you're going to discuss the celebrations, etc., can you tell me please during that as to what you expect the state of the village to be? Do you expect the ditching? Do you want the ditches doing around the village hall? Do you want them tidied up from stinging nettles and everything? But I would assume that as a parish council you would want everything to look A1 plus for a Channel 4 programme with Titchmarsh.
Yes.
So within item 3.1 I'd be obliged if you could discuss amongst yourselves as to what you as a parish council are expecting, which will be delivered. Let me put it that way.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Martha.
Can I just emphasise
all of what Ken has said, bear in mind that the Parish Council contributed to it, Town Trust did, and individuals did. So in actual fact, it is a property which needs to be dealt with. It cannot continue lying in what we believe to be a ditch. For all this time, there was a quality wood specifically chosen so that it would last pretty well forever. We chose a better quality wood for its posts. So I know it's emotive, but we've got to face it now. It can't lie down any longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Sorry.
Michael Bond, item 5.6, about the
Oh, yes.
As I think probably most people will be aware, at the entrance to Home Farm Close, between the shop and the pub, there's a pothole, which has been there for a very long time. And adjacent to the pothole, there are 2 drains. As I understand the situation, neither of the drains is connected to the main drainage system, and when Home Farm Close was built, rubble was just tipped into that drain. Again, as I understand it, it's not the responsibility of Cambridge County Council to repair the pothole or deal with the drains, as the road has not been adopted under, I think, Section 38 of the Highway Act 1980. And I'm unsure as to whether representation has ever been made to the residents of Home Farm Close to establish what the legal position is. Was an agreement ever made with the developers to have the close adopted, or other arrangements made for its upkeep? In my opinion, and in a lot of other people's opinion when I talk to them about it, that pothole is a hazard to the residents and the public, and particularly when it's filled with water. You can't gauge the depth of the pothole. And I understand it, I don't know personally by hearsay, that people have put their foot in there and they've gone almost up to their ankles in water, and children have fallen over in it. And it's also even more of a hazard when it's dark. The pothole needs to be repaired. The drains need to be made to function properly. Can the Parish Council help with this?
We can certainly try and find out who's responsible, I would imagine, but we'll no doubt discuss.
Because it's not. I looked it up on the Cambridge County Council website, and it is not an adopted road.
Can I go on further than that, Mr.? No, I can't.
Got to be critical. Anybody else like to say anything at this stage? Before we move on to our district and county council. Sorry. I wasn't ignoring you.
No.
Just wondering. Okay. Ian.
Well, I started with the budget. Now, I said, as you entered, it's a bit of a thing. This is on the website, and it's 444 pages long. This is the county council. I won't be sending it to you, but it is actually available. I only show it to you just as a matter of interest. But what it did, it actually, and also bearing in mind I received my bill on virtually a similar time, which got me to actually look to see what your budget was. And I can't find it on your website. I can not open everything on your website.
Well, if you list what you can't open and send it to Justo, then he'll be able to have a look through it.
Well, there are quite a few on the list. Some of it I could open, and then next one down, I can't remember precisely which ones I was. I was looking for your budget, basically, and I can't find it. That's mainly maybe because I can't open the bit it's on. Yeah. So there is two issues. One is about the website, and it doesn't appear to be as user-friendly, because if you can't open it, you can't see it. Only bring that to your attention. But it really just, because I was going to talk about the budget, and that the council, Cambridge County Council set it at 2%, District Council at 0%, 2%, and obviously you set yours, which I think is for you to decide, as you might say. And that brought me on to the other bit I was going to mention, which was the recent targeted local plan. which is not necessarily a statutory requirement. So this went out to parish and town councils, and I understand what was being asked of you was for you to consult the parishioners, which lots of people did, and they held special meetings in certainly St Ives, Hemmingford Abbott, Hemmingford Grey, Houghton Witton, held special meetings for the parish council to explain to the parishioners what the local plan was, and for the councils to feed back to the district council about the views of the parishioners. And that led me to what I also do, which is when I'm not here, I actually watch what you're saying, which gives me a good feedback about what issues you were talking about. And I wasn't quite convinced that you were aware of what you were required to do, listening to your discussion and debate in respect of the local plan.
Possibly a fair comment.
So I'm sure if you've made comments, but essentially what it was about was in fact asking parishes and towns for comments from their villagers or their towns, etc. But listening to you, the video, as they say, that wasn't as clear to me that you had actually fully understood that.
No.
It's only a part of the process. This is the process which we'll go through, and that is will go to a formal submission later this year and then on to an inspector in the normal process. So it's on the way, if you like, in developing the local plan, as long with all the others within the county. Some are more advanced. For instance, Pendant is finished, East Cambs is finished, South Cambs and the city are doing a joint one, and they are actually about halfway through. In respect of comment made about adoption of roads, there's a very set process for roads to be adopted, and it's not uncommon, it's fair to say, for roads to be unadopted around the county. At least I could think of about 3 or 4 roads or estates which have not been adopted by the county because they are not up to a standard that the county would take on the responsibility. Not uncommon, it's quite common to be honest with you, and that's an issue for another day, but certainly the county could help in at least saying, well, it has or it hasn't been adopted, and it sounds like you already know the answer to that question. The question is what to do next. My experience on that is not hopeful. With working with developers, because developers sometimes go into liquidation. I'm thinking of one in particular. It's in Penstanton, a big estate, and none of the roads are adopted because the developer went into liquidation, and therefore the assets are no longer my responsibility because...
And whose responsibility then is it to maintain the roads?
It goes to the householders. Okay. It goes to the householders because they normally buy the house knowing those sort of things, or their solicitors do through their searches, etc. That the roads, more importantly, sometimes actually the sewers. Okay, the one I'm thinking of is sewers and roads and lights, and you know, because it then becomes the responsibility of those householders, which I'm afraid to say a lot of them do not realise when they buy the house, or they buy it from the third down the line or fourth down the line, and often unfortunately it does fall to the householder's responsibility.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Can I make another comment?
I'm afraid to say we have these rules and we have to treat everybody in the same regard. Right? Thank you very much. No members of the public wish to say anything on stage? Okay. In that case, I shall close that part of the meeting and reopen the Parish Council meeting. And next on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting of the Parish Council on the 2nd of March. And the planning committee on the 17th of February, and that's on the agenda because it's a small committee and people. Have you got enough people here at this meeting?
I think Susan was actually at the meeting. Really thrown me a bit.
Yes. So first of all, the Parish Council meeting of the 2nd of March, there were some late alterations to the minutes
Which have been made.
which have been made,
Yeah.
and basically
So just spelling errors and things.
spelling errors and putting an S on others
Yes.
under 5.2, which was about the Associated Community Trust, yes. There was an S on others. I just want to make sure that you know what was 5.3, which was the erection of the cross, Easter cross, and that was said it's said in the minutes in the usual spot and added in as being by the maids. 4.2 says
Responses to those, you say?
yes.
You said responses before.
Mm-hmm. Yes. There was a typo at the top of that page where it says the, it should have said there.
There are concerns, yeah.
Item 2, which was to approve the minutes of the Parish Council meeting, it said extraordinary Parish Council.
I wasn't sure.
It wasn't an extraordinary meeting, it was a normal meeting.
Yep.
And 3.1, a sentence has been added in which says the chairman thanked all for applying. That was under co-option. So, are you happy with those small amendments? I'm happy with the minutes. Would anybody, I propose that they're accepted.
I'm going to second them.
All in favour? Doreen can't here. And Anne wasn't here either. Thank you very much. I understand. And your planning meeting, they're present at the meeting on the 17th of February.
Who attendees?
You, yeah, Kieran, yourself and Peter.
So they've been to that
So
one?
you can do that one.
Yes.
Right.
Just can't do the next one.
Next one.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you. That's just the three of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this is to approve the minutes, and at that particular meeting we were discussing the change of use of Manor Farm to be a store for building materials, front porch at Rutland Green, and rear extension to the old barn in Gravely Way. Do you want to do that for both of you? I propose that we sign. You all second it? Okay. Thank you.
So that's item 2 done. Item 3. Okay. This is to do with the 300, celebrating 300 years of capability ground. Okay. So, following on from the presentation we had from Nigel and Ray last month, Joe kindly wrote to the two gentlemen and asked them whether they would like any extra committee members on their group, and what TV production and when the TV production company are proposing to come to the village. And they've said that it became obvious at our last meeting, and we're beginning to get a full agenda, and it is taking a long time to get through things. Because of this, it was suggested rather than add more to our load, we would ask if it were possible for you at Hilton to form your own committee. If you have the numbers to do so, we could then liaise with each other by having 1 or 2 reps at each other's meetings, or having a joint subcommittee meet regularly. We'd like to discuss the options, and no comment on the television production company as to when they were coming to Hilton. So, what do you think?
Initially he said July, didn't he? For TV.
Mm-hmm. June, July. Well, I rather still think that they're doing lots of great things with regards to organising this.
Yes.
And I think we should go back and say if they'd like a member from Hilton on the committee. That's great.
Yeah.
Otherwise, any ideas that they want to pass it through to the Parish Council?
It does seem difficult that we could have 2 committees working in parallel.
I think we will need to follow up this question of when the TV company is coming, ask them who the TV company are so we can contact them directly, because it won't be necessarily Channel 4, it'll be probably a production company.
Full Channel 4, yeah, okay.
And with regard to them suggesting we have our own committee, and the danger is if we don't do something ourselves, nothing much will happen here. It's a bit embarrassing to have TV companies rolling up and nothing going on.
Consider the last time we said yes, we thought it was a good idea.
Yes, exactly.
To join that
exactly.
committee, yes. And I think we should go back and say we'd like to have one person join their committee.
But it would probably mean that one person.
Enough, is it?
I don't think they're saying that only one. But
No, I
then-
mean, it's not going to be enough to get Hilton on the map with regards to the whole event.
I think it's clear from John Ray's response that seeing mob-handed as it is, I don't think they're taking anyone extra from Hilton necessarily. I think they're politely steering us to have our own group.
And we can go back and say we'd like to join them.
But then you would probably have
They'll just say
people
no.
from Hilton,
Yes, go ahead.
Hilton that would be discussing Ben Stanton stuff, wouldn't they?
Mm.
Unless we went there to start off to see what sort of things they're doing, and then we can then come back here and Hiltonise them. That would probably be a better way of doing it, isn't it? Because I think if we went totally off on our own track, that might seem a bit too comparative. Maybe if we just asked to go and join the first meeting, or even see some, maybe just saw the minutes of their meetings, then we could sort of see what things they're planning, and then put it out to the village to see what sort of things we could do here.
Yeah.
But I think there's a danger of working completely separately.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's got to be some communication. I'm sure there would be. I don't think we can shoehorn our way back in at this stage. And it's got a point. If we don't actually do something as a village, it'll just blow by. Time is a bit of a factor. That's what we expect to be around the village. And taking John's point at the back that if we want the village to look a certain way, then we need to get that bit at least in hand. Obviously next year when the real celebration is, so we've got time to organise that.
We also need to know whether it's going to be an event over a weekend, or is it just going to be one day, or is it going to be continuous throughout the summer that we're expecting visitors?
Didn't the gentleman not say that there was going to be a display of the church?
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm totally fine.
Yeah. That was one of their
Think-
intentions, was to have a display on in the church for a period of time. There was going to be something down in London.
Yes, if it was.
Well, you don't know at the moment whether we're going to have coach companies going to organise for avid gardeners or historians. They're going to have coach loads come up and visit like they do with the Hemmingford Abbott's Gardens. They have coaches turn up. It's on a route now.
So do we need to contact,
The judge.
sorry, just wonder if we need to contact like the tourist information or whoever to say what do they have of anything planned, find out what Finn Stanton are doing and see what's kind of left or what we can join in with.
I think Graham was onto something, and I'm happy to be the person who attends one of their meetings to just get a feeling for all the bodies there present, because I think you're right, tourist boards, I think in the English Heritage there's a whole plethora of bodies that are involved in this already. So I could probably glean an extensive list, get a feeling for what's already on the agenda, what kind of activities have been discussed. I could feed that back to the council and then we can give that back out to the parishioners and say, look, this is good. There's an immediacy in June for a bit of filming, but a bit of tidying up. But long term, there's going to be a big celebration next year. We think we should be part of it. Do you parishioners agree? If so, would you like to be part of this team, committee, group, whatever you want to call it, that actually will then start organising what we need to do between now and next summer, I guess.
So you're talking about a work group, so
Yeah.
Starting off as
Yeah, I'm happy to start off with
The whole thing doesn't have to feast. That's what we
like sort of size the prize, shall we say. So I'll be happy to sort of pop Ray a note back and just say,
can I come along to the next meeting?
Yeah.
Gather as much information from them as possible, feed it back, and then I think we put it out to the parishioners and say, is there something you want, because like you say, Andy, I don't think everyone doesn't get involved. It's going to be hard work to, for even, reasonable sized working party to take this on, to take care of doing that.
But secondary to that, are you thinking that we can go direct to find out who's actually filming it? Or do you think we should still go through them? I think as a second attempt, we ought to go through them.
I think courtesy, yeah.
Or we could just say today,
Yeah.
advise us who it is,
Yeah,
because it looks tidy up.
we want to make sure, and but of course, that window reduced.
Yeah.
We will need to know what work we want to have done around the green and the cost, proposed cost for that, because that would be in addition to, possibly. And we need to put that through the council and get it.
But then don't forget, we've been looking at the green through our eyes. The visitors outside, it would probably look absolutely wonderful. They wouldn't know that there was some shrubs that need trimming or...
No, I think what John
you know.
insisted.
I understand, I do understand that, yes. Yes, that's right.
It depends what else they're going to film when they're here. They might not just film the nose, you never know.
Not much else.
It's not so harsh.
No, you never know. No.
I'm not going to put a bill in for it, Mr. Chairman.
So we need to establish all those facts.
Just as an aside, having been in Barcelona some years ago at an exhibition on labyrinths, Hilton's maze was featured.
Well, now it's actually a labyrinth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not a labyrinth, it's always called the maze, but it's a labyrinth.
Yeah.
I'm just going to accept a comment from the floor at this point. John?
You should.
Yeah, but just to put it on, because otherwise John will feel I was ignoring him.
Somebody just said then that there could be an extra cost.
Yeah, that was...
There's no extra cost. We will do it within the contract. But whatever you want doing will be done to make it look right and proper.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you. And I didn't want to think you were ignoring
Yeah, no,
him.
that's fine. I just want to make it clear that you will not get a bill for it.
Okay. Michael? So, as part of the capability grant. So thank you. I'll come back to the meeting now. Right, so on that basis, as far as I see, Justo's going to contact and report back to us, try and find out the TV company so that we can get a date. Because it would be good to have a projected date. Under the green management group, do you want to have a look at what work we could have
Let's
done
do
around,
that. Let's do that.
around that, this part of the... Yeah?
It might be some things that are planned can be brought forward.
Yeah.
Um,
We'll discuss that with John and let us know maybe next week.
Yeah.
Grand? Okay. Happy with that?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Item 3.2 is green open management, or green management open spaces. Rodney to mow the cricket pitch and football and other. Did you want to do this? Sorry? Did you want to do this green management open spaces update?
Andy, unless you'd like to do
No,
it.
I talk too much.
Start with the football pitch. Last time we talked about it, we were concerned about the state of the into, it was a very wet period. Willie and I had 2 inspections of it, consecutive weeks, and it's not been played on since then, but we have been keeping an eye on it. We also had a third get together with Ian Stuff and John Carter, just to have a look at it and see where we think it's going to go through the rest of the season. It has improved. We haven't had a lot of rain in March, apart from the day we decided to go and inspect it, we actually threw it down. But it has improved, it's dried out. We've spoken to Nadine, she's confirmed there's only 2 more matches left to play within the season. They would also like to use it for training, but as a compromise, I think perhaps what we can do is say play you two matches, which are next week. Hopefully, conditions won't deteriorate too much in that time. And but then we'll mothball it a bit, let it recover. So perhaps they can find somewhere else to do the training. But it was a useful meeting. We had a couple of things came out of it. The mowing, which we would like to bring that under Parish Council control. It seems like a lot of people have been out there with mowers at the request of the football group rather than at our request. So, and whilst it's in this delicate state, we should really enforce that. There's been a suggestion that we rotate the pitch to 90 degrees, so at the moment you've got one of the goals under the trees at the far end by the wilderness where they don't get that much light. It's the lowest part of the pitch, it's very boggy, so it's that of course is where there's most wear. Rotating the pitch around 90 degrees should be quite a good thing to do. John and I have had a brief conversation about that, but we perhaps also chat to them about see what their requirements are.
But it also takes away the risk then of the ball going across the road.
Yeah.
I know they have a steward behind the goal line, but you know,
well, they have hold our parents, don't they?
Very, very.
yeah.
And it also gives the goalkeeper a bit of freedom.
It does, yes. John's going to do a little bit of spraying up. Where the ground is bare, we're getting a lot of broadleaf stuff coming through, which has got to go before the grass can recover. So there is a bit of work that John's doing, but that's part of the contract we have with him. There's no cost in that, but I think perhaps we should have a good think about football. 3 teams with that sort of intensity that are playing, as the ground can't sustain it, and it is an amenity for the whole village, not just for football. So we want to try and come up with a compromise. I guess we really should have a chat with Nadine to see how she feels. I'm happy to do that and take that further. I know you've been dealing with her up to now.
If you want, well, we can discuss it.
Because it was expanded to 3 teams this season, wasn't it? Or was there a suspicion there was 3 teams?
No, it's 3 teams now this season.
Yeah.
Under 12s and 12s and 11s.
Yeah.
Previously we've only ever had 2 maximum. So that's the football. Cricket ground, we have that request about Rodney starting mowing. As far as the ground is concerned, it looks like it's ready to start mowing. As far as the Parish Council committing to the next year, can I suggest that we delay it until after the Cricket Club have their annual general meeting? Because I think there might be changes there without prejudging it, and it might be that we want to consider what we're going to do in light of that.
Still want to cut, won't we?
But still, yes, absolutely, but that really only leaves the Fleet Street cricket matches, and so whether we need to do it all year, I don't know what the technicality
I think
is.
the problem, well, okay, so discuss later, but Rodney, I think, is very good value. I'm pretty sure that his machinery needs it short, otherwise it skids.
Right.
So I think we need to talk to him as well before you. If you don't keep cutting it.
No, but I don't think we're in a position to decide on this
No,
tonight.
okay.
So we need to find some more information.
Right. Well, the AGM, quick AGM is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Over the fate of the council.
principle.
Okay.
But can it stall till? No.
Can we go back to Alan and say that we're happy for it to be cut through April
Yeah.
and
Okay.
into May?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we carry on as it would be, but
Yeah.
we just need to readdress
We
it
just wanted to find out what's
before we
happening.
commit to it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Who's that?
Yeah, can we do that? Okay. So if we said April, May, and then that gives a good chance of discussion about it. Is there anything to propose? Somebody need to
The
propose?
same price as last year?
Yes, we'll just put it down.
You want to propose it now?
We need to propose and second that part of it, if that's a spend. So the proposal is that we agree to have that cut over April and May as required. Yeah. Because by the time it comes to July, and that we will contact Alan and see what's happened. Happy with that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Dora. All those in favour?
Two other small items. The maze was, a fair bit of work has been done, which we reported on last month. It was open for the Easter weekend. John is a little concerned that it's taken a bit of hammering already, so we're going to close it until the May Bank holiday weekend. And the final thing is the grass parts. We've agreed to not mow those until further notice. We still haven't recovered from last winter, so we'll just keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it's not growing too much at the moment.
That's it for me.
Sorry. Item 3.3 is A14 update. I can do a bit. So, registration of interested parties is closed, and there's been lots of people from the village registered, which is really, really good. Parish Council registered, obviously, and we are in that next stage of the planning inspector examine the proposal and agree whether they can call a meeting or they boot it out or accept it. And during that period, any amendment, they can go back to Highways Agency and say, we're not happy with this bit, and they can come back and say, oh, let's change it. So that's part of the ongoing process. The working group is...
We meet tomorrow to pull together how the work that's been going on over the last 6 weeks. And hopefully we will be able to get something in terms of draft documents in the coming weeks. So, no great rush, but we're keeping an eye on that.
On the time scale. Item 3.4 is something that we forgot to put on last month's agenda, but was one that was on previous month's agenda, which is the adoption of the emergency plan and flood plan. Now you all have these circulated months, January, February, and Ken gave us very nice updates, and I think at the point we were going to adopt, but we didn't at that point. So I'm happy to propose that we adopt those two plans. Any comments, objections, or thoughts? No? You seconding it? All those in favour? Right, and then we'll just check with Ken that was the final version, because it kept moving, but we believe that was the final version, and we'll stick it on the website. Thank you. Item 3.5, and food related. I know that you were saying that you might want to bump this a month because you were going to try and get something to come talk to us.
Yes, I've been in touch with the East of England Ambulance Service because there were a number of questions raised at the last meeting where I raised it, and subsequently various villagers have sent information or made various points which are good solid points that need addressing. So I was chasing again today, and hopefully this chap's going to bring me back in the next few days. She said, fingers crossed. And the idea is to get that chap to come to our next meeting, if possible, and answer the questions.
Lovely.
That's great.
Thank you very much. Item number 4 on the agenda, which is working groups, members' items, committees. 4.1 easements, update and possible decisions. There is an update regarding the beach cottage one, which is just about to be finalised, I think. Once a typo has been sorted out.
Yes. Just to be clear, I'm not getting any favours. That's 4 months.
Thank you. Sorry. The PECs, good name, Jason, 2 PECs.
Let's go.
Do you know, I'm a terrible piece of guilt when I'm driving down here. We have drafted a nice letter to Agnes go in the next day or 2. And then I'm not sure, got out of touch with the other easement requests, and I will have to address that.
I suggest we have an easement meeting then.
Yes, that's a very good idea.
Do it.
Yes. Yes.
Will you send me a copy of the letter?
Yes.
Please?
I think we've got one on the old letter.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, you will. Then, and hopefully we'll have a more informed debate about that. 4.2 Speedwatch update. Is that you?
It is.
Because I've not seen. I've only seen one.
Yes. Well, I mean, there was no real sort of supplementary documents to the pack. It's just really to confirm, report that I attended the annual meeting for Community Speedwatch at Hinchinbrook, hosted by the Assistant Chief Constable on the 5th of March. They were very well represented. There's also representatives from the local councils there as well. And basically just tried to cover off where the scheme is now, talked about introduction, developing of some new equipment, some lighter weight equipment, talked about some new signage, tried to give an update on where there are a number of teams that are in circulation at the moment, I think it's circa 200 teams. And then the floor was opened up to some questions and answers. That kicked around for a while, and then there was an offer by the DCI to host a meeting to try and bring some of the parties together that fallen up, shall we say. And that was put to Margaret Lambert, the chair of the Personal Committee meeting. And then she took an action all the way to feed that back to those interested parties. So that's Speedwatch in a sense. It also came up as a point at the St Ives District Area Road Safety Committee on the 10th that I attended. There was a lively debate around the representatives from the Parish Council and other interested party members. Andy Bush was there representing Ken from Hat. Went over some of the old ground around the historical tensions that there have been. The meeting that's been offered by the constabulary was reiterated at that meeting, with a caveat that it could only be a constructive meeting and it was not to go back over old ground to try and find a way forward. So I've now got the final agreed minutes of that committee meetings minutes. I'll circulate that round to the councillors who have interest, as I'll do with the heavy commercial vehicles meeting minutes as well that are not available. And just to add that on the 10th of March, the police with the area community speedwatch representative, Brian Robbins, did undertake some speed checks in the village on the 10th of March and didn't have to give anybody a ticket.
Was there any way you might visit that point? Because previously it'd been quite bad, wasn't it?
Oh,
Well, when they put that thing up outside
the black
there was,
box,
yeah.
it's two different things. The black box that recorded just the data, did record. I suppose it proves the point in a way, or maybe it's just a quiet day, that when you have high vis, obviously like police officers stood by the side of the road, surprise, people slow down. Or as I said, maybe they just got lucky, and we all got lucky collectively, and it was sweet on that day.
Thank you, Chester.
You're welcome.
Item 4.3, policy group update, standing orders, green management document and finance policy. So, policy group as it is met and circulated firstly the amendments to the standing orders, which was just an amendment to section M, which just said change the wording in that to say photographing, recording, broadcasting or transmitting of the proceedings by a meeting of any means is permitted in accordance with current UK legislation. So if you're happy with that change, this is also forms part of the annual review of the standing orders and policies, and we felt that there were no other changes necessary to the standing orders at this time. So that is what we're proposing, that the standing orders be amended in that way and that those are adopted and we'll put that on the website. We'll post the ones on the website. You happy with that?
Yeah.
I'll propose that that's done then.
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favour? Thank you very much. I sent you a document which is grandly entitled Finance Policy. Not had any queries or questions about that. We would like, therefore, I would like to propose that this is adopted by the Parish Council and placed on the website with the policies and documents.
Can I just clarify that is for the committee, isn't it?
Yes. The parish, this guidance for parish councillors of the terms of reference for the Finance Committee. So,
yeah, I'm just wondering whether there could be a slight name change to it or not. It's just as finance policy, isn't it?
it does.
Where it's
say
actually,
finance.
where it's actually a policy for the committee, isn't it?
Yeah. So what would you like to change the name to?
I don't know. I say it's not the
Finance and
general
General
policy.
Finance and General Policies Committee
Or
terms of reference.
I don't want any of the wording changed.
No.
If you see it on the website,
Mm-hmm.
you need to know what you're going to get. And when I looked at it, I felt that the title didn't fully match up with what I got.
Fine.
You could just take off the top two rows and have terms of reference for the finance
Yeah.
committee.
This is all to do with the committee, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not to do with the parish council's finances as such.
Happy with that?
Simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see inside of it.
Yeah. So remove those two words finance policy and leave it as terms of reference for the Finance Committee.
Fine.
Yeah. And you happy then with that? So we'll just amend that and then adopt it.
Please.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Do you need that?
You can
Yeah. You better have.
go and pose it.
Certainly, Graham, you make the post that just those in a second.
Thank you.
All those in favour? Thank you very much. The next item in there was the green management document, and that is so close. I do apologise. Put it on the agenda because we thought we would get it, the final bits and pieces sorted out, but because I have questioned something, we haven't quite finished off. So we will get it finished off, and it will be brought back to the next Parish Council meeting to address that. So sorry about that, it's not finished off. I do think we will do it.
Before we leave that,
Yes, certainly.
now we've agreed standing orders,
Mm-hmm.
are we still going to keep that statement at the top of the agenda?
I think that it's fair to let people know that the meeting is being filmed, because,
Yeah. So will it be there forever? Or is it like this, reviewed from time to time?
time
being,
yeah,
okay.
the policies and that are reviewed annually, so
Yeah, okay.
we can
Fine,
review
okay.
for next year. Because I think it does allow people to know.
Yeah, and last minute's pushing turning up and then being faced with people and saying, I don't want to, and then there's always the journey for them. Until it becomes business as usual, shall we say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Happy with that section? Thank you. Item 5. Now 5.1 is the 70th anniversary BE Day celebrations. Request from Bruno Peak, who is the pageant master, to light the beacon on the 8th of May. So a little bit of background about this, that on the 15th of March this year, David Cameron announced, some say as a result of criticism, that there would be a 3-day celebration of BE Day, starting on Friday the 8th of May, Saturday the 9th and Sunday the 10th. Part of that celebration was the intention for, as the blurb says, over 100 beacons across the country to be lit at 9:30 on Friday evening. And then there are some church services and a parade, I believe, in London. I think Duxford are doing a really day flight air show, but I think it's a little later in May, if I remember right, I think about the 23rd, 24th, 25th, something like that. And this request came in to the Parish Council asking whether we had any plans to light the beacon on Friday the 8th of May. And obviously there were no plans to light the beacon on Friday the 8th of May. And we're not aware of any requests to do so. And Joe replied to Mr. Peake, and that is why this matter is on the agenda. This beacon is of a certain height and would have to have temporary planning permission to put it up on the ground. Personally, I believe that that would not be granted within the period of time between today, the 7th of April, and Friday, the 8th of May. So I think that it is not something that Hilton can do.
Can we find out?
The statutory response from HTC is able to the working groups to make a response.
Even though they've done it before, and it's
It's able because they do it before. I can tell you that they're running at 10 at the moment.
But if it's involved with a national celebration, surely there might be compensation. But is that the right word?
No,
It's
it
not
might
the
be
right
consideration to
The last time, did they not do a...
There was a national dispensation with the diamond, and that has not been announced on this occasion.
But could we find out whether that has happened?
There hasn't been.
You know that,
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah, I was looking into it. I can tell you that in Cambridgeshire, the beacon in Huntingdon is to be lit at 9:30 on the Friday, the 8th of May, and it may be on this occasion that we promote that event happening, because we have there's no event being held in Hilton.
Can I just say that originally I was told that the existing beacon in Huntingdon was being lit, but now there seems to be they may be trying to do a special VE Day beacon on the Market Square, and the town trust, excuse me, are just waiting to hear back from excuse me, Huntingdon District Council regarding that. So that's what was being advised today.
So that is where we are with this at the moment. Any comments?
Can we find out definitely what the height restrictions are for temporary planning permission, and find out definitely if there is any dispensation for allowing this to be
There is no
done?
dispensation on a national basis to waive planning permission.
What about on a local basis?
There's nothing on the Huntingdon District Council website to tell us that there's any dispensation for structures.
But can't we find out, rather than just looking at a website? Can't we contact somebody directly?
First of all, then, what we need to know is whether we wish to proceed that far.
Well, if I understand it correctly, to ask a question, or any inquiry, you've got to fill in a form that costs some money or something. It's about £100. So any kind of pre-planning inquiry has to be fed into the system like that, unless we can just find a way of finding a shortcut.
What about if we just sign up the HDC helpline? They're always very good with their information that they've got. They can either tell you over the phone there and then, or they can put you through to the department that's involved with this.
But it seems to come out of quite short notice, doesn't it? Presumably it's all got mixed up with the election, which is the day before, isn't it?
7th.
So presumably it's sort of got muddled up in that, and it's perhaps been given a priority that maybe it deserved, or would have done at another time.
That was
Everything seems to come out a bit late, because
yes,
I'm sure we could have arranged a bonfire or something to join them. I just worry about the formalities or time-wise. And not only that, if you were going to erect it, you have to organise an event, wouldn't you? So I think there's a lot to do in just 4 weeks, provided we actually get the go-ahead.
Doesn't take much to...
and we are stoking this whole beacon debate again, which caused such unrest in this village.
Well, I think Anne just hit on the point.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Well, it doesn't take much to run a bonfire, does it?
Absolutely.
I think it does take a lot, but it's in your own
But
hands.
we do also need to ascertain where the beacon actually is, because it is an asset to the village that we've spent money on.
It's a parish council asset, yes.
So, you know, it's listed in our assets in the accounts and things.
It's interesting what comments on the floor. There seems to be some doubt that it might be joint ownership. Might be worth checking.
Yeah,
The minutes.
separate issues, isn't it?
It's a separate issue.
You don't want to get muddled up with the DD days, do you?
No, no, we don't want this whole affair to light up.
But it does seem to be, if we have the beacon, that it's worth doing an inquiry, suggesting, just to find out what leeway we have with regards to planning and permission. If there's any way we can not have to go through such a lengthy process in future.
Or anything that's going to cost us money.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't do
That's-
that.
there's
Just
no
find out
understand.
what's going on.
We have to then call presumably an extraordinary meeting to find out that information to approve whether we did it or not. Because if we're not approving here, we find out.
We've got a meeting ahead of the next one, but it's only a few days ahead of the date. It's only a few days before.
I mean, gathering information is fine and it's right. It does cause its own problems in so much that it's outside of our voting here, so we have to have an extraordinary to approve it. So that's one issue, question mark. I think from what's come out today, you make a good point about, one, yes, we should locate where said asset is, and we should get to the bottom if there's any joint ownership issues there.
And what we're going to do in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, my biggest concern around this, and it's part of what sparked off the problems last time, was that there's no, of course, guarantee that once, if we decided collectively as a parish council to go ahead with erecting the beacon again, if we could get dispensation from the HDC to put it up, lots of ifs there, but if we could, then there's no guarantee again that the community that still feel very passionately about that being there as a permanent fixture wouldn't rally again and say, we've got it up again now, why don't you just keep it up?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I understand the Parish Council's decision on this was that it would be okay to put it up and take it down on a
Yes.
on an as-needed basis. So that's the decision that stands from the Parish Council.
Right.
And if we did want to do it again, we'd have to go through the planning route. We'd need at least 3 months prior notice, I would say, to be certain of the process going through beforehand.
So
And
I'm
that's the problem on this occasion, is that with this short time scale, we're not going to get it through the system. Now, whether or not that then leads to, well, if it's going to be put up on, if there are requests to put this thing up on a temporary basis, maybe adjustments need to be made to it.
But that's a secondary issue, isn't it? The agenda tonight is for the deliberations.
Yeah,
What we do this week and long term is something to discuss. Next week, whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't get confused.
Yeah. No, we mustn't. We mustn't. And I believe that there is not enough time.
Perhaps there's a question of whether we think there's enough time for a bonfire, but personally I think to get people to come, you have to have the time to get the thing sorted, and I question. Because even fireworks take longer than that, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
but these three are very good at setting up their barbecues and,
Yeah.
you know, bring a shared picnic or something on the green. That could be
It's
quickly
9:30.
organised if it went
9:30
through.
at night. The big lighting of the bonfire is at
You've got lights
Has to
for
be
evenings then,
9:30.
haven't you? So,
night.
sorry, but you did.
Would you like to take a comment from the floor? Yeah? You want to take a comment from the floor?
When the planning permission that you applied for was for the temporary putting up of the beacon last time?
Permanent application.
Not temporary.
No, there was a national dispensation for beacons to be
No,
put up for the Duke,
I'm not
and then
talking
the
about-
planning application was put in, but was
So
withdrawn.
what currently is the planning application?
There is no planning application.
It was up permanent, was it?
Yeah.
Permanent withdrawal.
Right. and then you withdrew it.
Yes.
So you've never applied for a temporary,
No.
for the sort of occasions that we're talking about.
No. There has never been an application put in. Well, there was an application put in, but I believe it was pulled out, and that's when all the nonsense started. Thank you, Ian. So the question will be, is does the Parish Council wish to put an event on the 8th of May? Because we had no other,
It's short notice, isn't it?
and it's short notice. Or do we promote the celebrations that are going on in Huntingdon? And if people wish to participate in the VE Day celebrations, then there is we are advised by Mr. Peake that the famous beacon in Huntingdon is going to be lit, although from Joe's inquiries this is going to be possibly relocated in some way or other to the Market Square.
Actually, to see that stuff.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
And I'm playing devil's advocate here, but after all we've said, I actually am wondering how the day celebrations are going to go ahead, because it's going to be completely subsumed by the election.
Well,
You know, we've had so much of it already. The result will only be fully on the 8th of May, and then you're going to get all, you know, I think,
and there's a
I
huge,
think the VE Day celebrations are going to be buried, to be want of a better
but there is a
word.
huge programme of events in London across that weekend with flybys and marches and a service. And I'm sure that will get media coverage as well, because that was what was announced. And locally, the lighting of change across the country, of which Huntingdon is doing so.
If we hadn't got this letter from Mr. Peake, would we be considering doing a century celebration?
Well, nobody else has raised it.
Well, I didn't think it was coming.
No.
Do you want me to contact HDC for future reference to find out exactly? Or do I still do that?
I think on issue of time, it's going to be sorry.
And that's why I say I think that we should be promoting the event that's happening in Huntingdon because of the timescales.
We need to find out what they're doing, won't we? But we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be on the Hunts Post and on websites and everywhere, people will find that.
Okay. Margaret,
As
you
Ian
would like
had a
to-
word, may
yeah, I
say
should take a
something?
comment from the floor because I know this is a major
Is that all right?
subject. Yeah.
Just within your promoting ideas, I've been in touch with the British Legion Secretary in St Ives, and on May the 8th there will be a short ceremony at the Cross of Remembrance in St Ives, you know, the last post and so on. And then what they're going to be doing is collaborating with the St Ives Parish Council on June 27th, which is Armed First Forces Day, and there will be a very big event in Town Square there with 1940s music and dancing and stalls. It's going to be a really big event.
Which date, sorry?
Sorry?
Which date again? Sorry.
June 27th, Armed Forces Day. So that's how they're collaborating it. So they're having a serious event on May the 8th, which I think is appropriate.
Do you not mind that? Because May the 8th is a Friday.
I haven't got my diary with me, but I can tell you.
Thank you.
I'm not sure. 2 o'clock rings a bell, but that might be wrong. But the June the 27th is pretty well all day, 10 till 4. So they're regarding that as a celebration rather than a more serious event for May the 8th.
Yeah.
So you might like to promote that.
Thank you. Yeah. Sounds good. So, are we in agreement? proposal is that Joe will contact HVC for future reference, but on this occasion, the Hilton Parish Council will promote the event that's happening at Huntingdon on May the 8th.
And St Ives.
And St Ives on May the 8th, yeah. And the Armed Forces Day celebration on the 27th of June.
27.
Happy with that proposal? Anything else you wish to add into that proposal? No. I will propose that. Just a second. All those in favour? Against? Abstain. Thank you very much. Right, item 5.2. There's a request from Sharon Walker to hold Feast Week Bavarian evening and summer fete on the village route. So, Sharon's written to us as Chair of Feast Week to, as usual, to request permission to site marquee on the green and usual place of the Feast Week event in the last week of July, finishing on the 1st of August. Ensuring that all rubbish is cleared away and the green is restored to its normal state afterwards. It will do our usual risk assessment, and please be assured that safety is our priority. We'll be having the security guards on busy as usual. We need to do a couple of extra fundraising events, as two have had to be cancelled during the last 6 months due to poor attendance. They would like to hold a summer fete on the 6th of June, continuing our military theme, D-Day of course, and which is a Saturday, if I'm right, with stalls on the area of grass next to the village hall. As this is PC land, we'd like to ask for permission from ourselves, and subject to that, Sharon will contact the Common Rights landowners, of course. And on the 24th of July, they'd like to hold a Bavarian evening at £10 head in the marquee as an extra fundraising, which I believe is the Friday, but I'm going to ask Sharon, which is the Friday. We can utilise the long tables which are already there, as the marquee will be up from the 19th of July. Sharon's trying to get some money, but I think that would be, I think we probably need to keep their money, frankly for the offer, but as a donation. But I think if fundraising is tight this year, then it would be best. Ed McCarthy is kindly back offered to run this event. Licence has been applied for, and the road closures, which we'll come on to in a couple of things in a moment. And so there's the request. So marquee as usual, that is a request that needs to come through the Parish Council. From when I recall my days on this week, it was something that came up. The summer fete on the 6th of June, which is something that's happened before on many occasions. There have been a number of fetes and events outside the village hall, which with a meeting, a very nice, good family days.
Yeah.
And then a Bavarian evening in the marquee. Any questions?
This is the same length of time, isn't it? I was checking it. Monday to the 1st of August, same duration. It's pretty good. Just as early this year, isn't it? Maybe last year. Last year finished.
Okay, because it's, I think, the 4th week of July, isn't it? Except
as long as it's not longer, so that's not the issue, is it?
No.
Yeah, sounds good. We have sorry? Yeah, we've had trouble before with glass, haven't we? That's obviously part of the risk assessment.
That's part of the risk assessment, yes.
And likewise with the car park. Being right next door to the summer event, the summer fete, again, risk assessment.
Yes.
As long as others are told.
Yes. councillor for putting it to me.
No problem. That's fine.
Yep, I'm with Alan as well.
Facilities are available at the village hall.
So, yeah,
Do we know that? Toilets and stuff available at the village hall.
Let's ask Sharon. We'll
That's
take
a
a
good
comment
idea.
from the floor. Sharon, Kieran has a question for you.
Thank you.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Do you still have toilet facilities at the village hall?
We have booked the village hall for all of these dates, and yes, we're sort of in discussion with the village hall as to the village hall committee about the use of the toilets and the facilities. So we'll clarify that nearer the time.
Is there any doubt still?
I think there's some concerns with the village hall committee about the sort of, last year there was a blockage in one of the toilets, so there was some concern about how much usage the village hall toilets get, and the fact that there are only, actually 3 toilets in total. So, and obviously the men's toilets. So, I think there is some discussion about doing just a drainage survey just to check that the toilets can take that amount of usage.
You can always advise the village hall that you'll just use the disabled toilet, the one that fees we paid for or made a huge contribution to in the past. So perhaps they'll just be happy with that.
The request is just to use the request to bring it back into the request.
That's
yes,
that part, but Kieran's asking a different
Question.
question. Kieran's asking a different question.
Yeah, I know you take it on face value, but it could, if until this issue is resolved, there may be other. This may be affect us and bring more than it has in previous years.
Because
If the village hall do not allow feast week use of toilets during feast week,
yes,
then what toilet facilities will there be?
well, I'll have to ask us the toilet. It's a separate issue. It's all what risk assessment, isn't it? Presumably. I mean, at the moment, we just presumably we can't say no because you haven't got.
No. I think
We've been
until
asked.
putting the marquee up's not a problem. Putting
leave the fate's not a problem.
Yeah, well, we could just
Anyway, sorry.
Sometimes we've been running it in the normal
Before we go
manner.
to just making decisions,
Yeah.
any other questions for Sharon?
No, it's very well written email.
Thank you.
Very good.
Lovely. Okay, thank you very much, Sharon.
Thank you.
Okay, so now proposal decision time. Proposal is that we accept the request from feast week to put the marquee up
Yes.
on the green. Let's go back in time. Let's do it in chronological order. Is to agree the use of the land outside the village hall for a summer fete on the 6th of June.
Yes.
To subject to common rights landowners agreeing this as well. Put the marquee up on the green from the 19th of July and hold a Bavarian evening on the 24th of July, in addition to the normal feast week fun and activities.
I'll propose yes to all of that.
Well, I think it's down to us to contact the common rights owners.
Okay.
Rather than individuals, we should just say, tell them that that's what we agreed,
Okay.
and that they should come back to it if they've got problems.
Right, Jane?
Yeah.
Doing that?
Because
Okay.
it's not, otherwise one person is asking to stand, which is a little problem, so we,
Yeah.
just right, I think it'd be right.
Sounds reasonable.
And basically, it is what's happened before, isn't it?
Yes.
Just that the Bavarian night has taken the place of the ball, so,
Yes.
and it's
On this year.
a bit more inclusive because it's cheaper to get.
Yeah.
And also, I think if they'd had a bumper fundraising year, you wouldn't necessarily be trying to shoehorn in
Absolutely.
some more when you're busy enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, based on those caveats, I have.
And I think that the majority of the village would like to see feast week.
Not all, but the majority.
Absolutely. So, and by the sounds of it, everybody around the table is in agreement with that.
See,
So, there's the proposal. You've got the proposal.
Yeah, Anne
Fate.
proposed.
Marquee,
Yeah,
Bavarian night.
yeah.
I propose that.
Anne's already proposed it.
Oh, I thought Anne said she was proposing yes to all of that. That's proposing a bit, then I'll second it. And all those in favour? Thank you very much. Right. Item. Missing piece here
Library bus.
for library bus. I've got those.
No, well, I'm going to hand it over to the
I wasn't
Oh,
really
right.
sure why it was on the agenda because there's not much more information than the appears inspector.
Right, I thought you asked me to put it on the agenda. That's why I did. Sorry.
No.
That's all right, it's on the agenda.
Yeah.
So the
No,
library
just-
bus comes outside
Comes
the
out,
village.
yeah, and there's a nice photograph in Spectrum, it's on the website. It goes there the second Thursday of every month between 2:10 and 2:20. 5:20, yes.
Very
No, it does.
precise.
It's very prompt actually. In fact, when I see it pass my house and I use the bus myself, it's a very nice setup. It's suitable for disabled people to get raised up into it. And because it just comes once a month, you can keep your books there for a month, which is a bit longer than but you can use it with the other libraries as well. And it's just worth using it.
Is it, perhaps we could put that in the news section of the website?
Yeah.
Are these different times?
No.
Is that what's been mentioned?
No, I think it's just promote the service, isn't it?
Is it in danger of lack of use, or is it a push to?
No, no, it's just
Just to revisit
I literally had forgotten that it came. I knew it used to be there absolutely years ago when I was at playgroup. The children used to use it, and I was just in the bedroom a couple of months ago looking out the window, and I thought, oh, the library bus is going to the village, or what? Does that still exist? And it does.
Yeah. So, yes, and we don't promote these things, do we?
No, we should do.
Yeah. And that's the purpose of that.
So that it's-
Raise awareness.
Yeah.
Come back.
Right, 5.4 is audit. We've received requests for the audit, it's got to be done by the 8th of June. So there we are. We'll be doing it and we'll be reporting that in to future meetings. 5.5 is planned dates for annual parish meeting before the 1st of June and annual parish general meeting in May. So really, annual parish meeting May, annual parish general meeting May. Do we have, one of those, can we do a normal monthly meeting in? Is that what we did last year? Did we have our meeting and then, because I know
Following on.
one of these we have is completely separate.
Yeah.
We invite,
I'm just trying to.
we invite people in from like the town trust and
Yes,
and you've got that police lady. I think.
Well, the annual parish general meeting is when we elect chair, review things like insurance, risk management policy.
Okay, so that one
things
needs to
like
go in.
That's a normal
Yeah.
meeting.
That's a normal
Yeah.
meeting we have.
Yeah.
It starts off with
That-
election of the councillors.
So the
Um,
date for that would be normally the first Monday in May, but will have to be the first Tuesday in May because of the bank holiday, which will be,
The 5th.
I should know. Right, okay. It's right here first, isn't it?
Or whatever, yeah, it's fine. First
Yeah.
Tuesday.
First Tuesday,
Which
which
will
is the
be
5th,
May.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then we have to set a date for an annual parish meeting, which,
Which is when we have the report from the chairman, district and county councillors.
so we would look to have that normally later in May.
Yes.
Yeah, somewhere in around the middle.
Yes, whatever, yeah.
Yeah. So subject to availability, could we propose something like
What day was it on recently?
Wednesday, the 20th of May? Let's go for Wednesday, the 20th of May. Yeah, because I think the week after that might be half-term week.
Yeah.
That's subject to the hall being free.
Subject to the hall being free, and if that Wednesday isn't free, perhaps one of the days in that week.
Okay.
So the week commencing the 18th, but with a preference for the Wednesday, so that we can get it booked and we can ask, because we have this lady that we
Yeah.
want to invite to it. Yeah.
Once we need a date.
Yeah, and then to give it Ian to be able to do the presentation, get capability.
No, you could be reporting that.
Yeah,
To the village.
well, that'd be at that meeting, indeed, at that meeting.
No pressure.
Yes, no pressure, no. Okay, perhaps. Is that all right, Jane?
Yep.
Got those dates in mind? Lovely. Right, 5.6, which is large pothole and ineffective drain on roads to cul-de-sac between the POW and the village shop. Now, as we heard earlier, there is this pothole outside that close, and as we've heard, that it would appear that this is not adopted by Cambridgeshire County Council, and that it would therefore be the, from what Ian was saying, the homeowner's responsibility to attend to the repair of that, and from what he was leading to, possibly the drains underneath. Ian was talking about sewers, but I'm assuming that might include drainage as well, don't know. So what I think we need to do there is ask Joe to contact CCC and HDC to try and establish, establish a little bit, then we can write to the homeowners.
All including Bids of Wales.
Yes.
And including the shop.
And there are a couple of drain covers there. I think one might be a water main or something. One's a smaller cover as well. And I know about a year ago there was people doing investigations down there trying to clear it, but it's actually seems to have got worse since they've done whatever they have done.
I can tell you.
So we're going to take your comment now, Michael. Sorry, but I'll leave that comment.
Only about the water. That it's been reported to Cambridge Water Company at least 3 weeks ago.
Right.
I chased them up twice, and they are actually going to get round to doing it on the 14th of April. Yeah, they do know about it, but they say that they've got nothing to do with the pothole.
Of course, yeah.
No, and that's a problem. That's a problem. It should be possibly an unpleasant letter for those people to receive. In that post, it'd be written nicely, but not maybe what when I open any breakfast.
Well, they'll be aware of their access into their property, won't they?
Yeah.
But we need to do a bit of investigation
Yeah.
before the letter, don't we?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely, which Joe's going to do. Via both local authorities, district and county. And then we can report back and take forward.
Do we want to report back to the next meeting before we write any letters?
I think if you find out things, you need to go ahead and sort it out, because it's been horrible for a long time. We don't want any accidents while we wait for the next meeting to happen.
We can compose a letter and get one out. If we have the information back, then we'll let you know what we've written at for the next meeting. Happy?
Yep.
5.7 road closures.
Sorry, can I just say
Yeah, sorry.
that maybe Simon knows.
He might do, and I was
Yeah,
when I saw him in general, and that, I thought
Yeah.
Simon would be able.
Yeah,
Perhaps
if you
give us a little
contact
bit
him first and
tonight.
see what he knows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or even Sonny in the shop.
Yeah.
Because if I worked in that area, I'd be nosing to find out what was going on.
Especially if people coming in the shop complaining that it's
Yeah.
puddles.
Yeah.
Yes, we will do that. Happy? 5.7, road closures requested for Feast Week and cricket matches. 2 emails, one from Alan, setting out the dates of which he's asked for closures on the road here, and advising us that he's going to hand over the reins. He's got an apprentice, and the second email was from Adrian Snook advising that he is going to be taking over the coordination of the road closures, and Adrian's been working alongside Alan for quite a few years now getting the road, going out, putting the stuff out. So a very nice natural progression, really, to get to make sure that that happens, continues to happen in the future, to keep this part of the green safe during Feast Week. So I've got no comments on that.
It doesn't seem any more than usual, does it?
No. It's for the...
Number of matches.
Excuse me. Yeah.
And presumably there may be a few more added if we get a cricket match on.
Yes, because Alan hasn't done anything.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not done anything for any cricket matches, has he?
No, just subject to tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty good. Right. He does ask, is he talking to us to asking us to acknowledge safe receipt? Is this actually an email to us?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I have acknowledged that we received the email.
My brain is saying to me that there's a request for the varying evening, which is not covered by the location dates.
Well, these may not have gone in, so maybe we just need to suggest that that's added to it.
So you may wish to talk to Adrian to add that date in to keep that side of the green safe.
I also like the idea that they are telling people down Grove Road. I don't know whether you normally do, but
I don't know. It's good because Alan's done this so well over the last year.
but it's the people on the diversion that get
Mm.
extra traffic, isn't it? So it's good.
So I think it might be quite nice to have that right to thank him for having done this over the...
Yeah.
Because other than none charge quite a lot, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
As we're essentially find out very shortly.
Yes.
So yes, I think that would be quite a nice thing to do. And also, like Adrian and say, thank you very much for taking it on.
And that we're happy with it.
Yeah, and we're happy with what's proposed, but we may want to consider adding this. Okay. So that's 5.7, so that's that bit. Next is finance and assessment. Number 6.1 is to authorise the payment of any bills, including 2 missing standing order bills from Eon and Cambridgeshire. So we've got a couple of little, we've got a schedule of bills, right, so I'll run through them. We have Joe's salary £435 for March, John's standing order of £575. We have 3 Eon direct debits, £11.43, £10.16 and £41.14, 2 of which were estimated, and what Joe's found is that she hasn't got the bill from Eon. Is that right?
No, well, the March one is the current one,
which
so and which is also estimated, and then there were 2 missing, one from January, which I noticed payments had gone out, so then I queried with Eon where our invoices were, and one for July of last year, which obviously was a larger amount. They're paid by direct debit, so they'd obviously both gone out, but I just wanted to make sure our records all tallied.
Yeah,
so
and are they giving you, are they sending you a copy of the bill?
yes, I've had copies of it.
Oh, you've had copies?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, so they have sent me.
Right, but that money has already gone out of
Yeah.
the bank account.
Yes, because they're both direct debits.
So no problem. Then we have the floodlighting bill from Hilton Parish Church for £95.95.
Well, actually, it's just 95. I think I just.
You got
It's
over
like
refusing.
95.
So
Why
95 days.
there's a slight alteration there.
And this covers the period of the 1st of January to the 31st of December
Yeah.
2014. I think I need to, I'll certainly propose that it's paid, but I just need you to check the invoice for the last one that came in. Because that
What, the
came
amount
in
or-
April this year.
What, the dates?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it came in after the financial year was ended, and I thought that might be corresponding to that date, so I'm not sure. But we need to make sure that we've paid for the right date. Then we have Balfour BT street light maintenance maintenance £796.68, which we'll discuss in more depth in a moment, you'll be pleased to know, and £3,805.26p for the removal of PC21 street light, which we're going to discuss in more detail in a moment, and £18.41 direct debit to Cambridge Water, which is the water bill 1st of June to the 30th of November. And you've had a bill through that?
Yeah.
You've had the invoice through that?
Yeah.
Good. So,
What's the one to be following?
pavilion,
Pavilion, okay.
as is the electricity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think possibly that the earlier bills, the fact that they may have gone to Alan or the cricket club at that time, before being passed on to the Parish Council. But now the bills are sent to you. So, 6.2, so before we're going to have to come back and agree that part, but we just need to discuss the streetlight maintenance and the removal of PC. So, which do we want to discuss first? Streetlight maintenance? Joe, fill us in.
Right, well, we have the streetlight maintenance contract. You may remember we discussed this last time because they didn't actually have a copy of our three-year maintenance agreement. So, obviously, we are down one light, which we still seem to be being invoiced for because PC21 has now been removed. So I went back to query that, and also they're charging us higher amount. Oh, sorry, I haven't got the email to hand. They are charging us £22.13 per light, which but when we signed the 3-year contract, as stated in the minutes of September 2012, it should be £20.85 per light. So I've gone back to query both of those, and I haven't had any response to that as yet. Just a response in when our bills run from and to.
So your proposal is that we don't pay this invoice at the moment?
Yeah.
Then you wait for clarification from them on that?
Yes, because I mean the PC21 was taken down in July 2014, and they're saying that this maintenance contract is from September 2014 to September 2015, which will be our last one with those. So we obviously will need to look at that shortly, but they're still charging us for PC21.
But it's quite strange. We're expecting them to maintain their price from 2 years ago.
It's a 3-year deal.
Right?
It's a 3-year deal.
Yeah, but we're changing the number of lights, aren't we? So I think they're probably quite in their rights to charge the number of lights.
Well, I think
But
there's
they
a
should-
provision in the contract to that.
Yeah, do that. But as I say, we can change the number of lights, but we wanted to maintain. Because that fixed contract was probably based on X number of lights.
We've got less lights.
Exactly, but we changed the contract, aren't we?
Yeah, so they might be they might be right to charge PC21,
Yes.
but they should be charging at the right rate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just for clarification, have they always been charging us too much at 22?
I don't know, I need to go back
So
and
that's the
check
question. I
that
don't know
out.
whether it's just
Mm.
this particular
Yeah.
phase, or it could be 2 years worth of.
We don't know.
I mean, their contract is quite difficult to understand, to be honest.
It's not enough to rebuild the pavilion. I'm sure
So,
£2 a light.
And unfortunately, as I said, I mean, I had to give them a copy of our contract to them last time, so I'm not really sure how up to date they are really with what's what.
So the proposal is that this isn't paid on this occasion. Bit of a blow, because it's a financial year and we'll start fiddling around with it. But we can accrue and all that sort of thing and account for it. So are you happy that Joe goes back and gets clarification on this before we pay it?
They're not threatening us legal action yet, are they?
No, so they haven't come back with anything yet.
Very good, the next one. So, happy with that?
Yeah.
So, the next one is the removal of street light PC21 Grove End. So this is not good, is it?
That concluded.
Has it been completed first of all?
No.
Last I saw it still open, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
I haven't had any response to the last email I sent.
We're not holding our breath given the history responding.
No. So this is we were quoted a price for the street light being removed, including a cost of road closure. Mrs. Connor kindly advised us that the road wasn't closed when they removed this street light.
It was also
And then-
removed on a different date to what they
Yeah.
originally advised as well.
And then about 6 months later, we received an invoice, which includes road closure. So we have gone back and said, we want to know why we're going to be in charge of this. She came back at one point, didn't they, and said, hard luck.
Exactly, yeah. The
She
advertising.
said that because it had been advertised,
Yeah.
that the cost was for the
I
advertising
can
of the road
confirm
closure.
the charge for the road closure is the charge Cambridgeshire County Council charges to advertise. Unfortunately, this charge will stand. We have already paid Cambridge County Council for advertising the closure.
Probably not for you, get your money back from the council.
So we have gone, Joe went back and asked them about that, and they haven't replied to it.
I asked for proof.
Yeah. And she came back and said, I'm sorry, I've not had time to look into this. I took some time to look at it. I've checked that with CCC, and though the road closure was not used, you still have to pay for the advertisement, so unfortunately it was a stand.
Yeah, what-
CCC would have to pay for the advertisement, that's why we cannot credit him. Joe's gone back and said, prove it. Prove the advert. Get us proof of the advertisement, please.
Yeah, I think what,
Because if you're advertising the road was going to be closed at that time, they came on to work at this time anyway.
if the county council receives a request from a contractor to close the road, they will put the advert in and charge that. But it's not the council's fault if the contractors comes along a week early,
Yes,
and so Balfour has got to deal with it between them and the contract. It's nothing to do with the council.
I think we'd just like to see
Council was
proof of the
doing
advert.
what they were asked.
When did they put that?
Hmm?
When did they put that?
Then probably, yes, that's what they
In the Hunter
normally
Post,
do.
in those
Yeah,
notices, and that. So we've just asked for proof of that advertisement.
Yeah, but it's spot on though, it's
No.
between them and the
And the
contract.
contractor, not
Simple as
nothing
that.
to do
It
with.
seems like a very expensive advert.
Well, have you seen the size of the adverts that go in? They're horrendous, aren't they?
And we are not, we're talking
Yeah.
£1,258.68 plus
It's a lot of
that.
money. Lot of money.
Sure, it's one of those.
So are you happy
Council opportunity to
that we don't pay this bill
generate.
Yes.
pending
Right.
clarification?
Yeah, absolutely.
But we don't want to get into it.
We'll step short of the previous
Yeah.
activities. But we're happy to pay for the work that was done, which is
Yes,
what
We
I
proof.
certainly
Yeah,
are
we
happy to
haven't.
pay for
Yeah,
the
we
work.
haven't.
Yeah, well, it's for proof that
We've got to pay for the work that we've done, that's due, but we would like to know.
Even if they started rattling the legal sabre, we're asking very reasonable questions. And no action was taken for until they were answered. If we were then being bloody minded about things after we've got all the facts relieved, the story.
Yes, it's not a convincing story from them.
I get Balfour BT as a company got problems, and you can probably see why from their administration.
Maybe dig our
Still
heels in,
doing it
they'll
well.
go bankrupt and that's wiped off.
That's it. So, with regards to authorising payment of accounts then, I would like to propose that the items on the schedule that Joe gave us being the salary, John Carter's paying orders, the utilities for Eon and Cambridge Water are paid, although Cambridge Water and two of the Eons are paid already. That we have agreed that the streetlight maintenance contract and the removal of streetlight PC21 are postponed from paying, and that the Hilton Parish Church is paid, just subject to those dates being correct. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Happy with that? I'll propose that. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you very much. Right, and then there was just one on the bottom here, Joe said 6.4 utilities owed by Peace Week and Cricket.
Yes, it's just Alan very kindly had a look at all the utility bills
Yep.
to work out who owes what, basically. Sort of Feast Week Cricket Club and Football Club. And I've sent emails to
Peace Week Cricket.
Yeah, I've received a cheque from Cricket Club yesterday. I've emailed Feast Week. So Feast Week it came to £120.76. So I've emailed requesting that. Graham had already emailed asking me how much they owe, but I didn't have the figure to hand when he emailed. So No, Graham Griffin. As I say, 32.70 is being paid by the cricket club, which I received yesterday, and obviously the Fenstanton Football, their utilities included in the 300 that we agreed they would pay.
Yes, we haven't had that money.
We have just had that
Oh,
money as well.
excellent.
Yes, that's been paid directly into our account.
But is it nice that they've
I'll
paid,
need to check.
the full amount, whereas we haven't been able to pay fully?
Yes.
Yeah, that would have to come into a daily discussion about number of teams and the coming season, wouldn't it? We need to just check whether the training was agreed in that request when we go back. Okay.
I don't think it was. Well, I think it might be quite clear just about the matches, not the training.
So 6.5 is new electricity contract, eco-electricity to start on the 4th of April,
Yep.
or starting on the 4th of April.
Yes, I had an email today, I think, confirming that that has now happened, and Alan, as he's got the key to the electricity box, is going to take a reading for me in the next couple of days, just to...
I'm sure it's not whirring around at 1,000 miles an hour. Yeah.
And just to let both parties know, so we all need to know.
Thanks for sorting that out, Joe. Which leads us on to item 7. Councillors, item of information only, no discussion, no decision, as usual thing. Dorian. Great. Just Anne.
No.
And me, no. Thank you very much.
Sorry, before you finish, can I just say I received a letter from Ralph today regarding, just thanking Parish Council for arranging for John to look after the churchyard. So I just really wanted to let you know that we received a letter of thanks for that.
Well, and we can't discuss it, we need to go on
No,
the agenda.
well, I'm not sure that needs
Yeah.
discussing, I just want to let you know, really.
Yeah.
And next meeting, 5th of May.
Tuesday,
Yeah.
because of the bank holiday.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Closure of meeting. Meeting closed. Thank you very much.